Like, your worth is not dependent on your performance for that man, for that job, for that situation. Women especially will be like, well, I've invested 10 years in this relationship. The empty hope that the more you do, the more someone will see you and the more someone will reward you. I was recently reflecting on the let them theory, and I don't necessarily agree with everything that that theory proposes, but I do get the concept. And I was thinking about how hard it is to let people go and how depressing it is. And it is okay to let yourself be depressed, right? Like, it is okay to let yourself be sad by the reality that you never signed up for, watching someone live your life that you thought is going to be in your life forever, and really sitting in that discomfort. Because most of us, I think now more than ever, maybe it's because I just happen to live in this like timeline or time frame, I feel like now more than ever it is easier to be in situations that we're not supposed to be in, because we're so conditioned that nothing better is going to come along. We're so conditioned that because dating is harder now, because relationships are harder now, because jobs are harder to get now, we stay in situations that we're not supposed to stay in longer than a certain period of time, because we're afraid of letting it go. We're afraid of letting situations go, relationships go, jobs, people, because we're afraid that nothing better is going to come along. And so that's why I say it is okay to let yourself be depressed and sad and like live in that reality that you never saw coming. I think actually that's healthy. Moving on from situations like that quickly, I think for me is a red flag, because you're not in tune with your emotions and you're not willing to feel it. With that being said, I think it is okay to let people go. It's hard, but when someone does not want to be in your life anymore, let them go and go on with your life. And that advice, for the longest time, it felt like someone was bypassing and minimizing my pain, or like minimizing my experience. Like, what do you mean? I am literally in shambles. I'm having the worst like day of my life, or whatever it feels like, and you're just gonna tell me to just let them go like that, like not even like do anything about it. And now I'm like, yeah, like quite frankly, let them go. Because I don't know who said this, but someone said, do not let someone tell you they don't want you more than one time. And when someone decides and makes a decision to walk away from your life, let them go. I think when people are supposed to be in our lives, when God wants people to be in our lives, things might work out in the end where they come back. Like, I've seen people get married, I've seen friendships come back together, I've seen people go back to old jobs. When a situation like that, takes a turn in that way, great, amazing. But for most people, that does not happen. And so holding on to a situation because you're afraid of moving on, I think is detrimental in the end. And so the let them theory, I think that's where it's powerful, because let them go. Let them go so that you can grieve the situation, so that you can let yourself be saddened, and then so that you can move on with your life. Holding on to a situation that is poisonous, because if someone does not want you, why would you want them? If someone is willing to walk out on you, why would you want them to stay? Why would you want to be in that relationship anymore when they have told you more than once that they don't want you? And it is really hard to do that, because starting over feels like the worst thing ever. Starting over and changing your entire life. Some people, I think about people who are getting divorced, or people who are living long-term relationships, people who are moving across the country, to start over. That is difficult for any person. Starting over is hard enough when you're not even living a toxic situation. I can't imagine doing that when you are living a toxic situation. Starting over, I think, is what makes most people stay in situations longer than they should, because women especially will be like, well, I've invested 10 years in this relationship, I've invested 6 years in this friendship, I've invested so and so time in this situation, and I have nothing to show for it. Steve Harvey is on that said this beautifully. He said, okay, so are you willing to have another 10 years of that? If you had the worst 10 years of your life in this relationship, are you willing to have the next 10 years look just like that? And if you listen to John Deloney, he says something that is always mind-blowing to me. He always tells couples, for example, if it's a marriage, this marriage as we know it is done. It's gone. It's like that never happened. We're starting over from scratch. If you're not willing to do that as a partner, then there's nothing to talk about. There's nothing to work towards, because if you're not willing to change, if you're not willing to change your habits, your patterns, whatever it is, you just have to move on. And so most people, I think, get caught up in a starting over phase, because it is hard. It is hard to start over. But that's the beauty of it, is that you get to start over. You get to re-find yourself, re-find your purpose and calling, re-find your rhythm, explore who you are in a different context, right? And also in a healing context. You're going to learn things about yourself that you never knew if that situation did not end. I have learned that I have to be okay with the rage and the resentment that comes with that process. When I tell you I've been in situations, friendships, relationships, whatever, and I don't want to let myself get angry because I'm trying to let my empathy win, and I'm trying to let my good side show up and like really have compassion for the other person and see their side of the story and be understanding. But at some point I was like, I have to let myself be resentful and feel that rage and be angry for me to get on the other side of the healing journey. It is so hard to embrace that anger. It is so hard to embrace the rage. It is so hard to embrace the resentment because it feels awful. It feels incredibly uncomfortable to be in that state for days, for weeks, for months, when you're just depressed, angry. The emotions are just going on and on. You're just on like this endless roller coaster that's just ongoing. But I'm learning that we have to sit in that discomfort and we have to embrace that rage. We have to embrace that resentment and that anger truly, so that we can let those emotions go and our feelings go and like face them face to face, so that we can go on the other side of starting over. And the other thing is that you have to forgive yourself for the things that only time could reveal. You have to forgive yourself for the things that you did not know were going to happen. You have to forgive yourself for the decisions that you walked into, that you chose to do. Like, you have to forgive yourself for the life that you chose that did not end well. I think most of us are always hung up on the idea that because I made this decision, that means that means I can't trust myself anymore. That means my decision-making skills suck. That means I can't trust these people from this country or that state or whatever it is. And it's like, no, forgive yourself first for not knowing how that situation was going to end. And then you can let them go. I think self-forgiveness, honestly, more than anything else, is one of the hardest things to do. To forgive yourself first for not knowing what's going to happen, for walking in situations that maybe you could have known better but you did not know better, for doing things that you now regret. That self-forgiveness is such a hard reality. Like, it just knocks you out of nowhere and you're like, I do not know how I trust myself after these situations. I don't know how to date again. I don't know how to make a new friend again. I don't know how to embark on this journey with this career, with this job, with going back to school. I don't know how to do that again after I just experienced something that nearly took me out, that nearly unalived me. Like, I don't know how to do that. And that might take days, again, might take months, might take years, but that slow momentum is better than being stuck in a situation or being stuck in a mindset that makes you believe that you suck and that you are never going to heal and that you are never going to find your person and that you're never going to like do the things you want to do again. I think as women especially, we get so caught up in what did not work and what could have happened, what could have been better, and we just ruminate. Do I need to change this about myself? Like, it's this constant, again, roller coaster of emotions: rage, anger, grief, sadness, joy because you're now free, but also like, okay, I have no one and I'm alone. That whole roller coaster, I think if we embrace it and sit in it, then we can get to the point of like, you know what, they can go. I'm gonna let them go, not just physically but emotionally and mentally. It is the hardest thing to do, to finally recognize that you cannot make someone love you, you cannot make someone want you, you cannot make someone know you and see you and receive you if they're not willing to do that. And I also learned from that process that you can be loved by someone, you can be cared for by someone and still not be known by someone. I think that is the epidemic right now in relationships, is that people will stay in relationships, especially friendships, I think in this instance, where someone can love you and not be willing to know you and not be willing to see you and receive you and truly like let you be who you are. And to me, I'm like, that's hell, and I don't want to experience that ever again. I don't want to be in 50-50 relationships. I don't want to be in situations where the other person is only willing to see me when it's convenient for them, or they're only willing to make a sacrifice when it's convenient for them. Like, I want someone who is willing to put in the work, who is willing to like meet me halfway, and I'm gonna meet them halfway so that this can work. Anything besides that, I don't want it, because that's like, I don't want a half-assed relationship. I don't want it. So yeah, let them go. If someone does not want to be in your life, let them go. Let them walk away and refine yourself. Explore what life can look like without that situation, without that person, without that relationship, especially if you know you have done everything you can and it's still like nothing is changing. And yeah, like nothing is gonna change if nothing changes. The empty hope that the more you do, the more someone will see you and the more someone will reward you with their presence, with their love, that is a trauma response. And I think more than ever, many women need to really like embark on a journey of healing and realizing that your performance, like your worth, is not dependent on your performance for that man, for that job, for that situation. Your worth is already like set in stone, and no one can alter it or change it based on, you know, all these requirements that they have. It's not worth it. It's not worth it. Anyways, I hope that if you're listening, you're able to understand that some situations, some relationships are seasonal, and sometimes we have to let people walk away even when we thought that they would be in our lives forever, even when we thought that those situations, those jobs, those seasons would go on forever, and that when things end abruptly, you are forced to pick up the pieces that you never signed up for. You are forced to face a situation that you might not even know how to face, but God, literally. But that's the only explanation. I don't know how to face the situation except for God himself carrying me through it. That's the standpoint, that's the perspective I've had for the past few months. Like I don't know how to move on from that. I don't know how to face that. I don't know how to go on from that. Whatever it is, like only God literally can carry me through, because I do not know how to survive on my own. I don't know what I'm going to do with that, especially when it's a heavily emotionally taxing situation. But I love you, and I hope that you can take this nugget from the let them theory, let them go, because you cannot fight for someone who does not want to be fought for. I love you, and I'll see you next week. Bye.